So I chose to do my final presentation on the existence of God. This is something that's really important to me and something that I'm passionate about, but I've never really sought to find scholarly evidence supporting the existence of God, just because I just have that experience and personal relationship with God. But I found that it's really important to have evidence when explaining it to people who don't have that experience. So I just want to preface by saying my goal is not to prove that God exists. This is rather a discussion, and it's totally a personal choice to everyone. And there is no airtight proof in support of the existence of God or denial. So I just wanted to start off by saying that. Why even care about this? If God does not exist, then it's hard to define any substantial purpose to this life, and we would be either created by nothing or rational and intelligent matter, which is kind of sad. But if God does exist, then there's so much more to that. So, believe it or not, there are reasons to believe in the existence of God. In my final paper, I talk about a bunch of them, but for the sake of time, I'm just gonna talk about two, the ones that I find the most interesting: the argument for reason and then the argument for design. And I got most of my research from this book by Lee Strobel. This actually talks more about the cosmological reasons, which I don't get into here, but you're welcome to borrow this. And then I also got information from C.S. Lewis and other scholarly authors. So the argument for reason revolves mainly against the notion of naturalism. Naturalism is the belief that everything arises from natural properties and causes, and that supernatural explanations are invalid. God is supernatural, meaning he's outside of nature and beyond nature. And yeah, so the problem with naturalism is that in a way it's self-defeating. It devalues the validity of reason, which is the very tool that we need to evaluate any belief system. In summary, reason in the supernatural is our starting point, and we're stuck with it unless we jump to irrational arguments. And then I have a little sentence: in order to explain the rational mind, it has to be explained not just with irrational material. And then the second one that I think that's my favorite one is the argument for desire. Basically, we have these innate desires, such as we're thirsty, we drink water, we're hungry, we eat food, we're horny, we have sex, etc. And we have this desire and this longing for lasting satisfaction that nothing in this world can satisfy. We try to fill it with chasing success, pursuing relationships, getting a good job, partying, drinking, but in the end, we're left empty and unsatisfied. C.S. Lewis and other scholars suggest that this isn't just a bug in our design, but rather a feature, and that this desire is meant to be satisfied, not by this world, but by God. If God exists, then there's a good chance that he wants to connect with us. Imagine this: a mom and dad, I'll get started. Mom and dad giving birth to their child, and from a young age, the child runs away and separates themselves from having a relationship with their parents. Yet the parents yearn to be reunited in this loving relationship with their child if the child so chooses, but they're not going to force their child to. The kid feels the same way, yet is blind and ignorant to the fact that what they're missing is a relationship with their father and mother, and they fill it with whatever they can to distract themselves. Yet one day they realize that the desire to be loved can be satisfied and is right in front of them if they return to their parents where they came from. Although this is just a story, we can see God in the same way. If he created us by design to be in a relationship with him and fully satisfied in him, then nothing we can do or seek after in this world will satisfy that desire except him. And then this quote by C.S. Lewis that says, "If I find in myself a desire which no experience in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world." And then I can speak from testimony that this has definitely been true in my own life. In high school, I strived after whatever I could to satisfy that desire by trying to build a cool reputation for myself, hanging out with the cool kids, and going to parties. But it left me unsatisfied in every way, unsatisfied in who I was and where I was. And it wasn't until I took a step towards God and began a relationship with him when I found purpose, joy, and lasting satisfaction. Which is why I'm sharing this with you, because you can have this too, and I hope that you walk away from this considering your purpose and considering if God really does exist. Do the research, ask the questions. If God does exist, then it really does matter to each of us. It would arguably be the most important thing in your life to discover him and have a relationship with him, which is made possible through Jesus, who is God incarnate, who came to earth to make it possible for us to have a relationship with God through his death and resurrection, bridging the gap of separation caused by our sin. Although I'd love to keep talking about this, I don't want to go too far over the presentation limit, but I'm more than happy to talk after class if you have any questions. Thank you.